Our 2018 daily affirmation. We're going to read that together with energy, with commitment, just like we actually mean it. Here we go. Today is a brand new day. I refuse to limit my life by any past expression. I was born to be happy, to be abundantly supplied with every good thing, to have fun in living, to grow, and to consciously align the divine power within me with the divine power around me. I boldly claim my birthright. Today is the best day ever. It's true. It's true. So Palm Sunday in the Christian world, in the Bible, is a story about Jesus arriving in Jerusalem and the celebration of the arrival of something really special. Now, in science of mind, in metaphysics, we don't see Jesus as the exception. We teach that Jesus is the example. Because what we know is that what Jesus did, the capacity that Jesus demonstrated, lives, moves, and has its being in every single one of us. And so this morning, what I want to talk about is celebrating the arrival of our Christ consciousness. That Christ consciousness and we have to become Jerusalem. We have to celebrate the arrival of our Christ consciousness, which is a little tricky because it can't really arrive because it's always been there, but our awareness of it can certainly arrive. I went yesterday to the Capitol, and it still moves me so deeply to see our teenagers knowing the truth that lies within them. Oh my God. Just streams and streams of kids peacefully, lovingly declaring the truth of their being and standing on it unwaveringly. And as folks were filtering in, I had this epiphany because I looked up and it's like little cells, just like I've seen videos when I was studying to be an EMT of watching the cells go through our blood veins, all separate, all busy, all nourishing this physical being. And all of a sudden, I got oneness at a whole different level. As I'm watching all of these bodies, it was like, oh my God, we are the cells in the bloodstream of the divine. Wrap your mind around that. We are the cells in the bloodstream of the divine. It has trusted every one of us with its experience of itself. And yet, we are challenged to trust ourselves and one another. And when I stop and think about that, it's like, what is that about? Creation itself, the thing that created everything, that could just at the snap of a notion change it all, could quite literally control it all, chooses not to. Chooses to surrender its experience of itself to its creation. That's our pleasure. That's our job, if you will. And how do we do that if we lack an awareness of who we are? if we have a situational awareness, and I'm aware that that's who I am on Sundays, and I'm aware of that when I'm working on the talk. And, when there are certain holidays, I become aware of it. But what would it be like if we practiced that awareness every breath? How would we live our lives? Would we point fingers at one another for anything? I don't think we would. I don't think we could. Because, see, if I'm living in my Christ consciousness, I really get that whatever you're doing is your expression of divinity and quite literally none of my business. None of my business. And then we come together. And it becomes our business. Because it would really be challenging for me if the cells in my finger suddenly decided that their job was to be my neck. Think about it. Relate it to your own body. Imagine if all of a sudden you woke up and your thumb had decided to be your leg for the day. It's really going to kind of mess up how you move through the world. And how often do we insert ourselves where we don't belong because we don't know who we are? See, if I don't know my job is to be the thumb, I'm busy trying to be everything except the thumb. And so often what we do in this human realm is we start looking at the thumb, and then we create these human opinions about the thumb. And I don't want to be a thumb. I want to be an eye. Because the eye, we attribute all these things to the eye. It's all seeing, it's all knowing. And blue eyes are really this, and green eyes are really that. And I don't want to be a thumb. And I certainly don't want to be a thumbnail. The problem is, imagine a body that's just all eyes. You can see a lot, but what can you do with it? And I picked the thumb for a reason. Okay? It's really an amazing little machine, the thumb. Because I can have all of these, and I can do some things, but when I add this, that little appendage there really makes what I can do a whole lot more accessible. It makes it easier. The message in that for me is that if I will just be who I came here to be and let you be who you came here to be, and instead of trying to tell you who you are, ask you who you are. Make space for you to tell me who you are. For you to inform me of what your brilliance is in the world. And where you fit into my body of affairs. And then when you make space for me to do that, to be honest with you. Because most of us, we're really good at listening, or at least appearing to listen. But if I'm really listening, I don't have all my judgments going on. If I'm thinking about what you're telling me, why you're telling me that, am I listening? No. I'm judging you. And mostly I'm judging that it's not who you really are. And that comes from the place inside of me that wants you to be somebody else. Let's tell the truth. Our lack of acceptance of who one another is comes from we have an opinion. We have an assigned role for you. And if I just work at it just right, I can get you to do that without ever having to tell you that I'm doing it. It's called manipulation. Stop it. And here's why we do it. Because we haven't found the courage to know who we are. Because when I am clear who I am, I don't need to control you. Because when I'm clear who I am, and I stand in that and I feel the power of that, I want everybody to feel that. So there's nothing in me that rises up to control another soul. I would love to stand here and tell you that I stay in that, but I don't. I might be in it 30 seconds after I wake up in the morning, and then my dog wants to go outside, and boom, I'm out of it. Because I have opinions about how they're showing up, and they're just busy being little fuzzy, four-legged God beings, and they don't have a problem being who they came here to be. So they have a gift for me. Animals have a gift for us. Imagine if we surrender to the same level that they surrender, and they just go about the business of being them. Your squirrels don't care how irritated you are that they eat your bird food. Never once have they come to your door and go, bird feeder's empty, mind filling it up? Because I'm going to attack it. Is that all right with you? Is that, you good with that? They don't do that. The neighborhood cat doesn't get your permission before it hangs out on the backside of the tree, waiting for the birds to show up. Because it's just busy being a cat. The talk teaser was about the wetness of water. And I stood out by the creek this morning watching the creek. And I don't care who does it or where they do it or when they do it. Everywhere you stick a finger in that creek is going to get the same degree of wetness. Not the same volume, but the same degree of wetness. Whether it's a drop of water or an ocean wave, the same amount of wetness is in all water. Translate that to creation. We are the wetness of creation. Creation is the water. Every one of us is the same degree of wetness of water. You cannot get any wetter than you were born. And no matter how much you ignore it, you can't dry up. You can't. But what we can do is ignore our wetness. We can ignore it. There's a story, and I'll give the abbreviated version because the original story is just way too long. In the Hindu tradition, where God comes to this child in the desert and says, it's really hot out, and I would like a drink of water. Would you please travel to the village and get me a glass of water? Get me a cup of water. And so the little boy travels into the neighboring village. And it takes him some time to get there. And so by the time he gets there, he's actually an adolescent. And this beautiful woman opens the door. And he instantly forgets why he's there. Because he is just enthralled by her beauty. And so him getting a cup of water for God is no longer on the radar. And he invites himself in. And they invite him to stay for dinner. And then he just stays. And he becomes a part of the family, and he begins to help out with the household chores. And he's continuing to grow and mature. And he asks for this woman's hand in marriage that he's fallen in love with. And they get married and they have 3 kids. God's still waiting in the desert for a cup of water. And so life goes on, and the parents die, and he assumes the role of the family, the head of the family. And then the monsoon season hits, and the village is about to flood. And so he takes his family, and he heads for higher ground. And as they're heading for higher ground, one of his sons is swept away in the flood. And as he's reaching for that son, he lets go of his second son, who is then swept away in the flood. And as he is distracted by that, a wind blows his daughter out of his grasp, and she goes off in the flood. And as he turns to his wife for support, off she goes in the river. And so now, here he is, completely bereft, and throws himself in the river. Only he washes up on the shore of the desert. And then as he is sitting there in all of his remorse and all of his regret, he's startled by a voice behind him that says, "Did you bring my water? I've been waiting for hours." Notice the time difference. I've been waiting for hours for my cup of water. And he turns and he sees God again in the desert, and he just throws himself prostrate, begging for forgiveness. And God is like, "Get up. Where's my water?" No condemnation, just, "Where's my water? I sent you for water. Where's my water?" And the child looks at him and says, "I don't understand what's happening." And God goes on to explain, "I have always been with you. I directed you on what was yours to do, and you got distracted, and that's okay. Now, go get my water." That's who we are. We each came here with an assignment. Whether it's to get God a cup of water, whether it's to build God a nation, whether it is to be a minister, a teacher, a garbage truck worker. That's our assignment. And we forget because we get distracted with all of the stuff of humanness. My buddy, Reverend Jeff Anderson, and I were talking one day, and the subject of what was ours to do came up, and we're pretty clear that ultimately our job is to show God a good time. That's our job. It has entrusted us with its experience of itself in the form of us. And so what if we actually just stood in the truth of that we are the wetness of it, we are inseparably connected to it, we are a characteristic of it, we are a degree of it. We don't have to become it. We can't not become it. Our only job is to become Jerusalem, to welcome the arrival of our Christ consciousness, to celebrate, to sing in the streets, to lay down cover on the ground so that our consciousness doesn't have to walk in the dust. Because that's what Palm Sunday was about. It was the celebration of the arrival of that. We can have Palm Sunday on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every week of the year. And I strongly suggest that we do just that. Because, and I can't prove it, our faith is self-evident. Self-evident quite literally means without proof. Truth is invisible. None of us can prove it. We can rationalize it, but we can't prove it. So what if we stop trying to? What if we stop working so hard to prove it and get about the business of being it? See, we're more comfortable from the neck up. We're good in that space. We like thinking about stuff. We like theorizing about stuff. We like talking about stuff. And then some of us are really good from, about here down, where we like doing things. We're busy. This is the area where we got to get good. In the heart space. I invite you to close your eyes for just a minute. Go to your heart with no thought, just with an invitation to meet your wetness, to meet the expression of divinity as you. And as you arrive there, I invite you to say silently or aloud, I am the heart. I am the hands. I am the voice of spirit on earth. I am the heart. I am the hands. I am the spirit. All that it is me. I celebrate my arriving to an awareness of my I amness. I say yes to celebrating my I amness every minute, every breath, every thought. I return again and again to my heart, where the truth of me lives. And when you're comfortable, I invite you to open your eyes. If you felt something, what you felt was you. You didn't feel anything I did. You didn't feel anything outside of you. You felt the truth that has always lived within you. If you could orchestrate a celebration of that, how many fireworks would be going off? How many bands would be playing? How many people would you tell about what is alive in you? Because that's what is before us. I don't know anybody that truly gets how amazing we are as the divine in form and wants to hide that. Now we have opinions. We're back to the opinions. We're in the desert, we're going to go get a cup of water, and then we get sidetracked with, I want to tell people, but they're going to have thoughts. Sure they are. You know why you know they're going to have thoughts? Because you have thoughts about what people tell you. So we go back to the heart. Is it true? People are going to have thoughts? Yep. So what? So what? Guess what's going to happen tonight? The sun's going to go down. And you know what's going to happen in the morning? It's going to come right back up. Other people's thoughts change nothing. Unless we say, here's all my power, leave that with you. Thank you very much. But their thought didn't change anything. We changed. In a simple click of awareness. Oh, excuse me, I left my power with you. I need that to go through my day. Thank you very much. You have your own. You don't really need mine. Tell yourself, lighten it up. However you need to lighten it up. But stand in your magnificence. Stand in it. Embrace that creation, for crying out loud. Creation is trusting you with its experience. How much more validation do you need? Really, we look to each other for validation, and what created us already validated us. I trust you so much, my hands are off. Go be you. You can't screw it up. So quit trying to not screw it up. Just be. Quit trying to do yourself into being and just be. Because when we be who we came here to be, we will know what to do. And as long as we're busy trying to figure out what to do so that we know what to be, we're screwed. I got no fancy words for it, John. We're just toast. Because now somebody opened the door and we're totally distracted and we forgot what we came here to get. Where's your cup of water? What'd you come here to get? And if you get married in the process, great. If you have kids in the process, hoorah! If you make $1 million in the process, great. Remember me when you fill out your will. I know how to say yes and thank you. Don't miss being. Don't miss your Palm Sunday. Don't miss your celebration of becoming Jerusalem and welcoming that precious awareness of who you have always been. Let's take this into prayer. I hear ringing through my mind, Hosanna. Hosanna, Hosanna. Celebrating that highest arrival. And I cherish those Pentecostal roots that born that in me. That I get to take all of it and bring it together in an understanding. It's all God, all truth, all the time. Because there's only one infinite, ever-present love, peace, power, presence. And I'm it. I am the wetness of the water of the divine. And what is true about me is true of all life. That each and every one of us, a cell running through the veins of the divine, nourishing its creation, carrying our special gift to wherever it belongs in the body of the one, accessing our cellular differentiation as an individualized expression of the divine through that Christ consciousness that knows that it knows that it knows And as we step into that knowing, everything unlike that must leave. It must. Be ye transformed by the renewing of our minds, and we say yes. We are a new thought, and we say yes to having a new thought. To being a new thought. To showing up authentically, unapologetically, and embracing all to do that as well. So incredibly grateful. So grateful to see the movement of the divine in myself, in others, and in this world, in this physical realm, to see the power of truth moving. No longer bound by any nonsense we tell ourselves. Grateful that the one loves so much, so deeply, that it has trusted us implicitly with itself. And so knowing that trust, standing in deep gratitude in that trust, I release my word, which is it speaking as me, saying yes to itself. It already has. And so we can confidently say together, and so it is.